Awesome. Hey y'all. So I'm just it's been like 5 years, I think, since I made a video. And this is like my first live video. So uh I'm doing this actually because one actually so actually I was talking to my brother and by the way, I don't check this YouTube channel. And my brother was like, yo, your video has like, 80,000 views and a lot of comments. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And so I actually just checked it today and I was like, oh, I didn't realize there were that many comments and stuff. And then a lot of comments were like, can you please make more videos and like, please share more of this stuff. And, you're one of the few candid people and things like that. And so first we maybe should share before I get into like all the mistakes we made and, stuff like that. Maybe you should just share why I haven't posted in 5 years. And then after that, I'll share more about like all the mistakes we made, and definitely happy to like answer any questions and stuff. But first, like to share why I haven't posted in such a long period of time. So I haven't posted, and definitely, haven't made obviously made any live videos. This is my first live video. I haven't posted or made any live videos because one is I'm not an influencer. I don't think of myself as one. And definitely not a YouTuber. But I definitely let comments get to my head. And I think when I first posted, there were a few comments that definitely got to my head. One of them being like, "Oh, God forbid she becomes a YouTuber," and like makes money off of YouTube. Like, why would I make money off of YouTube, guys? Like, what? Why would I get $100 checks like every year or so? Like, that is so stupid, guys. Like, that is like the dumbest thing ever to me. Like, that's not money to me, right? Like, I can make a lot more money doing other things. Like, so that definitely was like really weird to me. Getting comments like that, and then uh and then definitely I keep getting like death threats. Like YouTube commenters are definitely really there's a lot of haters and stuff like that. And like I have a lot of great friends in real life. I have a great healthy family and thankfully have a really good relationship with my parents, and I live 10 minutes away from them. Like I have lots of like great connections here in real life, like where I live, right? And so I'd rather just be, living my life. Like it's a Saturday, right? Like why would I want to stream on a weekend when I'd rather be hanging out with friends and like having a good time? And like, why would I want to give advice, right? Like when I could just be hanging out and like living my life. And so that's a big reason why I just haven't really given advice or, why would I want to edit YouTube videos? Like I don't know how to edit YouTube videos. So yeah, hopefully this unedited live will help a little bit in terms of giving actual advice or whatever. So and hi, by the way. So I don't know how to like, yeah, edit stuff or read comments. And then also like people, even like, by the way, yesterday someone released a podcast, but which is great, by the way. I think it's Ethan. I don't know the name of the podcast. I'm sorry. I should know the name of the podcast. It was a great podcast, by the way. It already like went viral. It was about me. So it's an interview. And like, even in that podcast, I remember someone was like, oh, like, there's she has this AI generated background that she can't even afford this like AI generated, this fake background. And then every time someone, posts like everyone thinks I'm a freaking fraud, right? And every time people post about something, like every time people think I'm like a fraud for some reason, or like they try to, I don't know, post something like that. And then I have to debunk it. And every time I debunk it, like someone keeps finding other ways to like, you know, um, people keep finding other ways to what do you call it, like call me out as a fraud. So I just wanted to, like that's not an AI generated background. That's my house. This is my house. This is my house, guys. Like how many times do I have to debunk that this is my house? This is my like I don't know how many times I have to debunk. Like I live here, like I bought this house in cash. I bought this house in cash, guys. Like I didn't even need to take a mortgage. Like, so I don't even know how many times I have to keep saying these things and defending myself before people realize, like, I earned this. I come from a poor family. I grew up in poverty, guys. Like, I have already lived the American dream. Like, that's why I don't need to post YouTube videos. I don't need to like make money off of YouTube ads. Okay. So, like, that's why I don't have to post these videos and I don't need to make. So, anyway, sorry. That's why I haven't made a video in 5 years. And like, I just, I wanted to first explain that to people as like a reason why, I do unfortunately let these comments get to me, unfortunately, because I am human. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, like, sorry. That's the reason why. Anyway, let's see. I just, let's see, wanted to first maybe talk about, people always ask about what are some of the mistakes we made when launching a fund. So first, before that, maybe you should explain some about things about my background, and like how I got here, and for people who don't know who I am, and stuff like that. So I've never worked for anyone else full time, which is really rare, I guess. It does sound very privileged, although, to be fair, I actually did not come from a trust. I'm not a nepo baby. I did not come from a trust fund background. I grew up on like literally welfare. I've never had, I was one of those people where like my food was paid for me, like because of my income bracket, my parents' income bracket, growing up. So I like had to really, when I started my company. It was a huge sacrifice, and it was not easy. But anyway, so I started my hedge fund out of my dorm room, essentially in college. And then from there, let's see, I ran that fund and grew it, and ran it for like until about the time of the pandemic, essentially. And then I think at its peak, we did high frequency trading. We were, and which is weird by the way. So that's why I have a really bad habit of saying high frequency trading HFT fund, which like is like an oxymoron, like that shouldn't exist. But we were technically an HFT fund, which is really rare. It should be, the technical correct term is HFT firm, not HFT fund, because that should not exist. HFT, you should not be running an HFT fund, by the way, because HFT is very capacity constrained. Just FYI on that. Hi guys, sorry. I know there's a lot of comments. Sorry. And so anyway, so yeah, we did that for a while, and then let's see, and then at our peak, we did trade it, and everything I say, by the way, like I try to be brutally honest about, right? Like we did trade over $7 billion per day at its peak. That is true. And we were extremely capacity constrained as well. That is also true. And we also, had some really bad years. That is also very true. And so, all those things are all very true. And, we did shut down over the course of the pandemic, essentially. And from there, like, obviously now I'm working on, I run a data company today, and I'm not here to like sell that. Like we're doing well. Like I'm not going to sell the company now because we're doing well. So I don't need to sell the company or anything. So yeah. Anyway, cool. I'm just reading the comments now. Oh, so people are setting up hedge fund. Oh, cool. Awesome. So yeah, like, so when we were setting up our fund, one of the things I always talk about, by the way, was like, I had read, Principles by Ray Dalio, right? Which I think is like a pretty famous book. And I remember when I read the book, it's about he's the Bridgewater founder, right? And he writes about all the principles that he did right and all the things that he instills in his company's culture. Bridgewater being one of the largest funds, one of the largest asset managers in the world, essentially. And when I read that, he's like 40 years older than me, 50 years older than me. And I remember reading that and being like, this is so dumb. I can do better, to be honest, right? I'm just being brutally honest. And because like Bridgewater's culture, I don't know if you're familiar, but Bridgewater's culture is pretty brutal. A lot of my friends who used to work there, they would talk to me and be like, wow, right. It's a very, I think there's mixed feelings about working there, and about the culture there. It's very big brother. And you're encouraged to, like, I don't know how to describe it, like be brutally honest with each other and report. I don't know, like it's like, I don't know, it's that kind of culture. I won't go too much into detail, but anyway. So I was like, oh, maybe we can do better. So I decided, okay, I'll write a list of maybe, millennial driven, and this back when like millennials were the youngest generation. So like I'll write some millennial driven principles as well, that we could do at our hedge fund. And so some of the principals were like, why don't instead let's have a flat managerial structure, right, at our firm. And Naveed, you asked if I have an Instagram. Okay, so I technically do, but I don't use it. And I guess that's also maybe I'm too boomer then, I was talking about millennials, but maybe I'm a little bit boomer. I'm not quite active on Instagram. I mean, you're welcome to follow me. I just don't use it. Um, yeah, sorry. I'm like very boomerish. It's just CQIMIT. But yeah, anyway, so like some of the principles that we wrote were like having a flat managerial structure. So I'm active on Twitter, sorry, which is just my full name, like Christina, and then QI is my last name. And I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, and then just FYI, on LinkedIn, I've maxed out, meaning I haven't been able to accept anybody for the last like probably month or two or so. And I haven't been able to add anybody either. So even on my end, when I try to add people, it'll like beep at me and be like, you can't add these people either. So it's been really sad. And even when I delete people who I don't want to add, I still can't add them either. And then I've emailed LinkedIn support, and then they're like, they don't even know how to help me. They just send me canned responses. So I actually think I've encountered a bug. But anyway, yeah, sorry. Sorry for the like tangents. And yeah, so what was I saying? So yeah, we started these like millennial principles, right? Like, let's have a flat managerial structure, which, like for example, I was 21 years old or 20, like really young when I started my hedge fund, right? And so I was like thinking, well, we want to hire people 3 times my age, and I want ideas to flow freely. I don't want people to ask for permission for things, and also, so I was like, let's call everyone a partner. And also it's also good for like makes also for recruiters. So like when recruiters try to poach us, like you can't really figure out who's who. And so I felt like that would make things a little bit easier, in more convenient in different ways and stuff. So I was like, let's call everyone a partner at our company. And then another thing, so first off, that principle, by the way, turned out very wrong in the end. That almost like killed my company in the end. And so let me explain. I don't know if anyone wants to guess why, but I guess I can just explain it. So it sounds good in theory, like calling everyone a partner. Like, right, I wanted to hire people 3 times my age, right? And I want to, like attract and I want ideas to flow freely. And also I don't want recruiters to like poach us as easily. But in reality, like for example, if we hire someone who's an office manager, that is not good, right? There's a difference between fairness and equality, right? And if you hire someone with like 1 year of experience versus someone with 20 years of experience, you need to call people the titles that they deserve. And that is a huge, huge lesson learned there, right? People need to climb the ladder and you need to give them the titles that they deserve over the years that they are there. And if they have nothing to work towards and they have no titles that, they need to work towards the titles, right, that they deserve, that's something that's super, super important to everyone over time. And so keeping that in mind, we've had people who are, for example, if they're an assistant in the company, and they come in and they're like, I'm a partner, you need to give me a partner level salary. That is extremely problematic, right? And that has happened to us before. So I would keep those things in mind if you are ever in a position where you need to hire people and manage people, give people the titles that they deserve, because that's just a huge, huge lesson learned for us. There's a difference between fairness and equality, and we were being equal, but we were not being fair. So that's one of the millennial principles that we had, and that was wrong. Um, okay, so another principle that we had written down, millennial principle, was to have an office culture that was, instead of like, back then, I remember a lot of the Wall Street culture was like, the cubicles and kind of like, you wear a suit and tie and you're in the office all the time. And I don't know, it's just this cold, like formal culture, right? Stuffy, formal kind of culture. And I was like, I want our culture to be more like Facebook or Google, like Silicon Valley, West Coast, where there's like perks and there's free food and I don't know, it's like more fun and I don't know, there's like all kinds of fun things in the office. And so, we had like yoga mats in the office. We had a game room. Literally had a game room like corner in our office with like, I don't know, we had back then it was like maybe a Wii U maybe. I don't know what was new at the time, a PS4 or 3, I don't know. I don't remember which console was new. But we had like whatever consoles and, like video games and we had like all kinds of, someone had a soccer ball. I remember someone brought a soccer ball into our office. Yeah. So like it was like a playground for adults, literally. And then we had free food. We would order, we had snacks. We had a snack box subscription in the office as well. And, all of these things that we had, it sounds, again, if you're an employee, that sounds really cool, right? Like, I don't know about you. Like, if I was looking at a company brochure, two company brochures, and one brochure was like the photo was just a bunch of employees with suit and tie, and another brochure had a bunch of people playing video games, I would, if I was like 21 years old, I would choose the one with the people playing video games. I don't know, it just to me sounds more fun. But people were still leaving our company, and I would ask them, I was like, why are you leaving? We have free food, we have snacks, we have everything. And then and I learned that, people would tell me, look, Christina, like, we don't stay because of the food, right? Like, people, the lesson we learned is like people stay because their voice is being heard, because they're learning and growing, because they're making an impact on the industry, because they're, like for those reasons, right? Like they don't stay because of the free food. They don't stay because of the perks. And that was a huge lesson learned for us as well. And so, instead of spending money on like snack subscriptions and all these other things that are kind of, sounds cool in theory, let's spend money on giving them a bonus, right? Like just give people bonuses. And like, we spent like what we would spend, $50,000 on like food instead of spending all that money on food. Like just give people bonuses. Honestly, that money towards a bonus is way more valuable to people than spending it on food that people aren't even going to eat, right? And so that was also a huge lesson for us as well. Um, yeah, and then let me think of what else. I mean, there were a lot of things like that that were super important. Okay, and Naveed, I'll just answer your question. Let's see. You asked, what would you say that quantitative trading is superior to non-quant trading? Oh, I mean, look, that's like asking, I don't know how to word this. Like, it's not that one is superior to the other. That's kind of, how do I describe this? Like in other industries as well, like it's hard. They both like belong in they're just different styles of trading, right? I will say that quant trading is becoming more and more common in the industry, because like that's just the direction that, like automated techniques, like things are getting more and more automated these days. It's easier to use technology, right, to automate like strategies, or at least to automate your operations and to automate how things are run, right? And so things are becoming more quantitative driven, even if like the strategies themselves may not necessarily completely be quantitative focused. But it is becoming, every fund launch these days will call themselves quantitative in one way or another, right? But yeah, so I would say like quant trading is becoming more and more common, but there are still a lot of discretionary strategies out there, and it is becoming like more and more, like common, I will say. But again, it's not like necessarily superior. Um, it's just like, I guess maybe to describe like in layman's terms, right? Like non-quant trading is, there's still a place, time and place for that, right? And a lot of that is more based on just the kind of data that you're using. So quant trading is extremely data driven. That's like if I'm looking at certain patterns, I can use machine learning strategies or something, like looking at patterns, or using maybe even AI these days. A lot of people use AI. So looking at patterns in the data in certain ways, and then making predictions on that data, and like trying to predict what's going to happen on that data in the future. That's basically quantitative trading in a nutshell. And then non-quantitative trading, being more like, hey, let's look at very maybe more like alternative styles of trading, or hey, I can look at maybe talking to, I remember when I interned on a very discretionary trading desk. And we would literally go to like, I don't know, I remember the discretionary research teams would literally talk to like, I don't know, like Tim Cook or something. Or back then, I think it was Steve Jobs, right? Like literally, like the CEO of like a company like Apple, and literally analyze like how he's behaving during his interviews and stuff, and then like using his behavior try to predict what's going to happen. That's like very like discretionary in terms of like how that strategy is, right? But again, like there's a place for that as well, and that's fine. And so again, and they're placing like very large bets on that kind of stuff, or like they're betting on the elections in a very non-quantitative discretionary way. And again, there's a place for that as well. So yeah, at least that's my like personal, very personal opinion on that. Yeah, and there's again money to be made in both areas. So yeah. Oh, Adam, you asked thoughts, mistakes, lessons learned on raising investor capital. Yes, I love that question. Okay, first, I could teach a whole like course on this for a semester. I have so much to say on this. From both the GP investor capital and both LP investor. I've raised both, both different types of capital. And yeah, first, before I say anything, one of the biggest, like even recent lessons I like that shocked me, I guess, about this is how much the macro economy affects everyone's fundraising prospects, which sucks so bad. It's just like if you had raised a hedge fund or a startup right in 2021, you would have like 10 times easier experience raising back then than today, basically, right? If you're raising today, like good luck, you're cooked. That's just how it is. And a Ripple, I'll answer your question eventually. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on a little tangent on fundraising because this is an important topic. So okay, so first, yeah, the macroeconomy really affects everyone's prospects. So please know that if you're having a difficult time, you're not alone. Everyone is having a difficult time right now because that's just how the macro economy is. Same with job hunting. You think that you are cooked, everyone else is cooked too, because that's just how the macro environment is right now. Everyone is cooked, especially if you're entry-level software engineering. You are cooked just like everyone else. I'm sorry, but your mom probably told you like, oh, if you major in computer science, you'll have a job. Like, no, dude, that was 10 years ago. Today, you have a higher chance of getting a job if you major in marketing. Sorry, or art history, even like the statistically, right? If you saw the job stats that came out from the government, like if you majored in art history, you have a higher chance of getting employed than software. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so for fundraising, for advice, let's see. For raising investor capital, so my biggest advice, definitely by far, is like use technology, right? And then also I'll tell you about red flags really soon. But first, use technology, meaning send your investor deck through DocSend. Never send it through I think everyone should know this, right? Like never send it through a PDF attachment in your email. Like no, right? You should always send it through DocSend. Like never send it through a PDF because then the first thing that potential investor is going to do, right? They're going to just spread it, like they're going to spread it across to all your competitors and all their portfolios, and they're going to be, hey, have you heard of this company? That was they did that to my hedge fund. I remember when we were fundraising, even to like random, whoever it was, right? Both GP and LP fundraising. The first thing they did was they sent it to all of our competitors, and they're like, hey, look at this guy. These guys are fundraising. And then I remember like our deck got in the hands of all kinds of people out there, and people would just laugh at us, which is fine. It's okay. Now that I look back and I kind of laugh too, but yeah, so just be careful. People will send your deck out. And so if you use DocSend, people can, you can track not only who is viewing your deck, but you can also track how many seconds they are like looking at your deck and looking at every page of your deck. And not only that, but you can also laugh at them because sometimes they'll view it for like 1 second, or like they'll not even view it at all. And then you get on a call with them, and I'll be like, I know you didn't look at it, you're not interested. And then they're interested when they're looking at it, like they open it over and over and over again, right? That's how they're interested. Like they're the ones pushing it. And then when an investor is interested in you, when they're not interested, they'll be like, oh, I'll get back to you eventually, and then they only view it one time and that's it, right? I'll talk to the team and get back to you. That's no. Like 95% of the time, that's no. Yes is like when the first call, they're like, I'm very interested, and then they're the ones pulling you along, they're the ones driving you. that's when they're really interested. Like you will know they're interested when they're interested. You don't even need to ask. You know, it's not like a date where you're like, oh, are they interested in me? It's not like that. You will know they're interested when they're interested in you, right? And so that there's no vagueness around when an investor's interested in you. You will know they're interested, and so they will push you. They'll be like, okay, I'm going to get back to you like tomorrow. I'm going to talk to my team, and then you'll see them like clicking on your pitch deck like all night. Like they will be everyone on their team is like clicking on your pitch deck, and you'll see the notifications, all the emails that they're clicking on your pitch deck. That is when you know that they're really interested in you. And so yes is like a clear yes. So yeah, there's no like vague signals around this, by the way. A yes is a yes. So just FYI on that, like it's a clear signal. And then mistakes, by the way, on raising investor capital. I've never flown out to see any investor ever. Like when an investor is like, "Hey, do you want to come visit my house?" And like, come visit my house and like come sit on my couch and like let's grab a drink or whatever. No, dude, that's a huge no. Absolutely not. I've never. I used to do that, by the way. I used to like fly out to like what is it, Atherton? You know, where all the rich investors live in California, like the richest zip code in America, and like go to their house and like grab a drink on their rich couch and whatever, and like on their balcony, where they live, and like grab drinks with them and stuff. And I not a single. It's mainly I think they just flex their like nice house that they live in, and not once have they ever invested in us. I think they just want to flex and like like let them see how cool the house they live in. But anyway, that's always a no. And like, why are you doing this, dude? Like you're desperate. Like you're just showing how desperate you are, right? It's always Zoom calls. Like most of my investors, by the way, I've never met them in person. Even after we closed the round, I don't think I've met many of them in person before. Yeah, many of them I haven't met in person because of COVID, right? We just kind of like meet on Zoom, hi, right? And then like, yeah, many of them I still haven't met them in person before, surprisingly. So that's the other thing is like never go out of your way to like if they want to see you somewhere, they can come to you, right? Like you don't need to go out to see them. Like that's very desperate and weird. Like I don't know. So that's another one that's like a flag I would say is like never if an investor says, hey, come to my house. No, dude, like that. Also, that's a little bit creepy. I feel like I don't know, like especially for me as like a I'm not a young woman anymore. I'm kind of old, but as a woman, like you should never fly to like a guy's house and like a single. I don't know. That's just weird to me. So anyway, sorry, I rambled on and on about that, but I think those are some of the bigger lessons we learned about like raising capital. Oh, and then also use technology to close the round. Sorry, that's my last piece of advice. So like send your closing documents, like don't like mail them like stuff, right? Or like your lawyers should know what to do. They should be sending DocuSigns. They should be doing all of it for you, right? So have a good lawyer. That your lawyer should be really darn good, and they should be sending the DocuSign out through DocuSign. And like when it's through DocuSign, then like everyone just signs like they don't need to sign. They don't need shouldn't be printing and scanning. No one had like your investors are probably if it was if you close around in August, everyone's on vacation somewhere far away, right? So like they don't have time to like print out something when they're in the middle of I don't know in Hawaii somewhere or wherever, right? And so like just they're gonna be on their phone and they're just gonna like DocuSign it, and then so like that's so much faster. So like make sure use technology the entire round. Everything's gonna be done virtually. That will help you raise the round faster. That'll help you close the round like way faster. So yeah, those are some of the lessons learned. Some of the lessons also that are other people say are red flags, but I would say are not red flags. Are I know on the street people say, you know, stay away from like angel groups, for example. I actually surprisingly love our angel groups that we've worked with so far. Surprisingly, some of the best groups that I've worked with have been like, for example, one of the groups is alumni venture groups, like AVG. It's called Alumni Venture Group, I think. That's like the university affiliated group. I know, like if you Google them, and I think they have like, some people will say like bad things about them. Some people say good things. I actually really love AVG. They like have a special place in my heart, and they're like an angel group affiliated with like different universities, right? And I know like if you talk to like Y Combinator and other groups, like they're like, oh, stay away from angel groups because angel groups are basically like when individuals pool their money together. And then the reasoning why, like I know it makes sense, right? It's because angel groups are a bunch of basically non-sophisticated investors, like a bunch of individuals. And these individuals, like they might try to contact you, right? And be like, oh, like, I'm one of your little investors, like, how are you doing? And they'll try to like breathe down your neck and bother you and stuff. But like, to be fair, like they're really awesome. I've actually really enjoyed working with our angel group. So that's actually one of the things that I've actually really enjoyed is actually working with our angel group. So that's a piece of advice that people tell people to like stay away from. That I actually think of the opposite. I actually really enjoy working with angel groups. So yeah, like hopefully that all helps a little bit here and there. I would say like there's piece of advice that I think are red flags, and there's pieces that people think are red flags that I think are green flags, or not green flags, at least like, yeah, play by ear. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I went on a rant on that. Hopefully, Adam, I did an okay job of explaining all those. Feel free to, if I didn't answer your question, I don't know, sorry. But I could teach a whole course on this, like over an entire semester on just fundraising. I've done both GP and LP fundraising, by the way, and I talked mostly about GP, sorry, GP meaning venture capital. I don't know if you wanted to hear about LP. LP fundraising is like fundraising for your hedge fund, which, sorry, I didn't really talk about. But we did both simultaneously. And I've recently more focused because Data Bento is a market data company. So we only do GP fundraising, which is like venture capital essentially. LP fundraising is like the, raising for a hedge fund where like you can't touch that money. It's managed by an administrator, third party administrator, TPA. That is a different kind of funding. So sorry, I don't know what you're asking, but yeah, sorry. Ripple, I'm going to answer your question next. So let's see. Yeah, so you asked any advice for college student. Yeah, actually, I guess one of the pieces of advice is like, think about, I know, look, everyone's cooked in this job market. And first I want to say I'm really sorry that you're in college in this environment, right? It's hard. Hopefully you're not an international student. If you are, I'm really extra sorry, because being international right now is like brutal, right? You don't know if you can stay in America if you want to. You're probably going to have to go back to your home country afterwards if you're international. So I'm, sorry about that too. But even if you're not international, it's going to be hard to find a job because of the current market environment right now. Entry level is really hard to get. I consider ourselves as a nobody company, right? We are a no-name random data company. We're not a sexy company by any means. And like whenever we post a job posting, we get like 20,000 applications like on day one. And it's really, really sad. And it's not sustainable. Like we can't even review all those applications, right? And I'm like, we are only looking for one position. Like we need one. Like we're gonna have to reject everybody else. Like, and so anyway. But I think there's definitely some ways to like stand out for not just, I'm not talking about for us, but for like any company, right? And I think one of the big ways is like think about ways that you can be helpful to like any employer, right? And even as a college student, for example, one thing you can do is like, hey, so for example, if there's a company that you really want to work for, and maybe they emailed you, like some recruiter or HR person emailed you, but then uh, you got back to them and then they like, they're slow or they ghosted you. You can email them back and be like, hey, I'm a part of my school's, I don't know, finance club, and I'm happy to forward your job posting to my club's email list, right? And by just offering that, first, that takes 2 seconds of your time. That's an easy thing you can do. And second, like you're offering them value. You're proving that you are a person of value to them. And I can guarantee that chances are they'll get back to you and be like, wow, thanks. Like would love to take you up on that offer, right? And so, think about ways that you can be valuable like that. Or, hey, we'd love to have you on campus as a speaker. Or, there's so many ways that you can be valuable as a student. Just I think those are some of the things that I could think of that are just ways that you can help and be valuable and get noticed, in different ways. And then you mentioned your CS major. Yeah, so I think definitely, being being in that path it's tough, but like I think again, being CS will be helpful if you want to work in finance one day for sure. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on like the comments a little bit here. Um, yeah, and then by the way, yeah, feel free to like one of the things I really love about these meetups, I don't know, is like I've definitely introduced like co-founders to each other and like colleagues to each other and stuff like that before, just through the comment section, which is always really fun. So yeah, feel free to like, I don't know, talk to each other and like add each other and stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Adam, yes, about speaking to raising AUM. So raising AUM is definitely different from raising, venture capital. It's more of a check the box process. So, and what I mean by that is, it's like, how do I describe this? Like usually, oh, first, there's a reason why like you don't see ads for, I don't know, Bridgewater or like Man Group or like any other like major hedge fund in on TV or anything as a kid, right? That's why you probably didn't know what they were. Most people, at least like me, I didn't know what they were growing up. And that's because like by definition, hedge funds aren't allowed to advertise, right? And so because they're not allowed to advertise, like, yeah, by definition, like you just kind of never really hear about them. And so then the conundrum is like, well, how can you fundraise when you're not allowed to, how can you fundraise when solicitation is off limits, right? And not only is it off limits, you have to prove to the regulators, by the way, when the regulators come and audit you, you have to be able to prove to them that you didn't solicit, which is easier said than done. And so that is like a whole conundrum, by the way, in and of itself. And so there's something called reverse solicitation that you kind of have to be able to prove, basically. And so there's a couple things that you can do. One is like we uh, basically maintain a website, and then we like just kind of maintain a social media, and then that's about it. And then we cannot talk about returns, which is also why, by the way, like hedge funds, you can't just like post your returns all over like social media. You can't like brag about that kind of stuff, because if it's ever construed as advertising, you get in a lot of trouble. By the way, you can get in a lot of trouble. And that's another reason why, again, like, hedge funds, it seems like hedge funds are being all secretive and stuff, but there's a whole reason behind that, right? So like, again, like, it's not like we're all trying to be secretive. Like there's a whole law, there's a whole reason, like legal reason behind it. So anyway, so that all being said, I think when we first started, how we got started and how we started first raising was actually we went to some offline events. Yeah, I remember we went to like offline conferences and things like that, and literally just in person, like would meet allocators, like allocators being like LP investors and stuff like that. And through kind of an in-person word of mouth effort, that was actually how we first met some of these allocators. And then the like word spreads pretty fast, about new fund launches and stuff like that. And then that was initially, I think, how we first met some of these early, like, and there's a lot of what we call day one allocators, where they purposely invest in what we call emerging managers, managers that are just starting and just launching a fund. What do they expect? They expect lower fees, right? So they would want a discount on your fees, your usual fee structure. They want lower fees. They want higher control. Higher control being like maybe a lower lockup period. So that way they can, pull out if things go wrong earlier on. They don't want to, be stuck with a dying fund, right? So definitely there's more control that they would want, and they want the terms to be catered to them. But that's the reward they get for being your day one investor, right? Like day one investors are taking a huge risk on you. So if you think about that, and that makes a lot of sense. And then think about it from your perspective, right? If you are launching a hedge fund, your goal on day one is not to make $1 billion. Or even $1 million. Your goal on day one is to establish a track record, right? It's to literally get your foot in the door. It's to, get the ball rolling, right? Like that's the goal, is to like almost like to prove yourself, essentially, right? That's priceless. And so in order to do that, you need a day one allocator to basically to believe in you. And if that means giving them, the lowest fees possible to, basically allow them to put that capital into your fund and to let you, get everything going, so long as you can survive, right? Of course, so long as you can still charge the fees so you can pay your vendors and get everything going, that absolutely, get them into the fund and stuff like that. So again, your goal is not to make $1 billion on day one. Your goal is to get started and get that track record in place. So yeah, so hopefully that helps, Adam, in answering your question about raising AUM. But we went to a lot of in-person events again, and then and met some like day one allocators, and then went from there. Oh, and then and speaking to maybe to talk about how we met our GP as well. So meeting venture capitalists was, I literally signed up for every pitch contest in town, which is like so like mind, what do you call it, like so like it feels you're licking shoes, licking like people's boots. Like what is it called? Like I'm a bootlicker. Like that's literally what it feels like. I'm like crawling on the ground, like licking people's shoes. Like that's literally what it feels like. Like I signed up for every pitch competition in town, like where I got like 160 seconds to pitch. Like it's terrible. That's yeah. And then I obviously lost every single competition because I suck. That was what I did to raise money for like my company. And that is, by the way, one of the biggest reasons hedge funds early on fail before they even get to launch. One of the biggest reasons, and I know a lot of hedge fund founders, right? Because of not only my current business, but my previous business. I know so many hedge fund founders as a result. And I can guarantee you one of the biggest reasons hedge funds fail before they get to launch is a shocking reason. It's not because of performance, because they haven't even launched yet, right? It's because, I don't know if you guys want to guess this. It's like a shocking reason. It can't be because of performance, because they haven't launched. It's actually surprisingly not because of money. Because actually surprisingly, a lot of these founders are very successful, by the way. They come from, like, a lot of them are ex Citadel, they're ex like Getco, they come from very actually really awesome backgrounds. And so they actually have the experience to be able to fundraise, actually, or they already have the capital to at least get started. So money is actually not an issue for them, and fundraising is not an issue for them. The biggest like reason why they fail, or they just decide to like stop, is actually because they don't want to, get on the ground and lick people's boots all day. They don't want to fundraise. They don't want to do sales. Basically, it's like a sales role, right? They don't want to get on the ground and like beg people for money all day, and like, I don't know, like, that they don't want to do that. It's very like, they don't want to be me. They don't want to have this crappy job and, like get made fun of on social media all day. Like it's actually like a very, there's a glory to it. And then there's like this really crappy side to it. Absolutely. They don't want to do that. And so then they're like, I'd rather do quant research all day, right? They'd rather just go back to doing what they used to do, which is, go back to Citadel and do quant research, because that's like the job that they want to have. They want to be a researcher again. And so they stop, licking shoes on the ground, right? And doing that fundraising stuff. And they go back to Citadel and have like a cushy lifestyle again and go back to doing quant research. That is what a lot of my friends have done, is like they stop. They're like, I don't want to go do fundraising. And like, why should I invest in you? Right. And then they have to like beg investors for money. And they're like, I don't want to do that. And so they go back to like Citadel essentially, and they're like, go back to their cushy life. So just FYI, like that is one of the biggest reasons why I've seen hedge funds decide to shut down before they even get to launch. It's like they just don't want to do that. So yeah. Okay. And then sorry, I got to scroll back up the comments because I need to catch up on comments. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Sorry. Let's see, raising AUM, choice between going to be a data broker versus a hedge fund ourselves, and went the hedge fund route. Yeah. By the way, the difference between that, I would say, like, the hedge fund route is very glamorous, right? Versus being a data life versus hedge fund life. And maybe I'll comment a little bit on that too, because I'm a data vendor today versus I used to be, running a hedge fund, right? And there's pros and cons to both lifestyles, and I'll speak very candidly about both. And so first off, hedge fund life was very glamorous and glorious. So, first off, like when I was like interviewing candidates, like job candidates, right? Not a single job candidate would ever tell me like, oh, so why should I work for a hedge fund, right? Because it's like, duh, like it's like it's a sexy job, right? Versus like when I'm interviewing people for a data company, like it's like, why should I work for a data company? And I'm kind of like, I don't know either. Like, why do I work at a data company? That's not very sexy either. So data company is definitely not as sexy of a job for sure. Like, I'm a data vendor, guys. Like, I'm definitely like the licking shoes kind of job. So, yeah, definitely. We're like back office. I would consider this a very like back officey kind of job. It's a service provider job, right? We're like a service. Um, Hedge fund life, the I guess the so that's fun. It's like a very alpha P&L chasing kind of job. So during the good years, it's definitely really glamorous, right? I was on cloud nine in the years that you do well. Like I'm just like, haha, like like the meme where like the party meme where like there's the guy sitting in the corner being like, they don't know that I made $1 million this year, whatever. It's like that. Like I feel like that meme, like they don't know that I run a hedge fund, it's like that meme basically. And then when you're doing well, of course. And then when you're doing poorly, it's like, oh, like I just wanted to like crawl in a hole and die, like on the years that we did badly. But yeah, so that's kind of, it was very P&L. Like, oh, that's the other thing is I definitely earlier on in my career, when I was younger, I struggled to separate my ego from our P&L. I hope you guys, please don't be like me, guys. Like, please learn to, distance yourself, your ego, your being from your actual, a good trader should be able to do that, right? Like when I was younger, I definitely was not able to, like, I could not distinguish any of that. So yeah, that's a very amateurish kind of behavior. Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. And then versus like, I guess the bad part about that was definitely in the hedge fund world, there's front office and back office. And everyone in the back office wanted to work at the front office. And you definitely felt that, by the way, versus a data company where I am today. I never feel like anybody wants to work all in one place. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's happy where they are. Like all of our software engineers like want to be software engineers. All of our designers want to be designers. Like it's not like everybody all wants to be like in one person's shoes, Everybody's happy where they are. So that's definitely one thing I'm happier about is like, and also we can be remote as a data company, we can be remote. Whereas hedge fund life, like you got to be in pretty much in person. Like it's hard to not trust, but like it just because like things happen so fast in the industry. We're doing high frequency trading, so I think it's like we had to be in person versus like this job. I think it's a lot easier to work. Data Bento is fully remote, by the way, and like you see how we're doing. Like we're doing pretty darn well. You'd be shocked that we're remote, right? Like based on how many we have, almost 20,000 customers, and like we're remote. People are shocked by that, like that we're running the business remote, and yet we are, and we have amazing support and everything, right? So yeah, pros and cons again to both kinds of industries, and definitely one is less, data bento is less glamorous for sure. Absolutely. So trying to be candid, right, about everything. Yay. Oh, the hedge fund queen is back. Oh, that's so nice of you. I'm definitely not a queen. I'm just a regular, loser. Do you have Lucid? Do you have any advice for someone who aspires to become an equity research analyst working for a hedge fund? I would say like, I don't know what position you're in, right? Like, are you a student? Are you already a professional? But one thing that like has really helped people I've noticed, by the way, is half of depending on if you want to do quant or not. If you want to do quant stuff, I would say start working with data stuff like now, right? And it doesn't need to be data bento, please. Like, I'm not selling the business whatsoever. And I say this because half of a quant researcher's job is wrangling data, right? Whether you like it or not, it's going to be wrangling data. And so, and I say this like just putting the right keywords on your resume makes a huge difference. Like meaning, hey, I worked with TPBO, right? I worked with MBO, level 3 order book data, right? And again, you don't need to say like through which data vendor, like Data Bento or whoever, like I don't care, right? Like if you use Refinitiv or Bloomberg, great, right? But again, like you have to be able to work with the right data sets using the right keywords. Like you can't use simulated data or Yahoo Finance. Like please, like use like the right keywords and putting those on your resume. I do know for a fact that a lot of these the more sophisticated funds do filter by those keywords, right? Because that is when you know that you have institutional experience because you have worked in those data sets. And so yeah, that's a big deal to be able to actually work, in those kinds of, with that actual data. That's a huge deal. When it's the funny thing is actually a lot of hedge funds when they're hiring, they'll come to us and be like, "Hey, do you guys know of any quant researchers?" And then one of the biggest requirements are like, "Hey, they must have worked with Data Bento data." And then do you know anyone who's worked with Data Bento's data? We need them to implement Data Bento in within our platform as well. And we're like, "Oh, okay." Then we realize like that's a criteria that they're starting to have is like they must have worked with our data or anyone else's data, so long as they have experience implementing a data, some sort of data feed handler or whatever it is, right? But again, doesn't need to be us, but half of a quant researcher's job is working with data at the end of the day. So using keywords like, TBBO, MBO, like OHLCV, right? Like you got to know what those keywords are, right? At the end of the day. And I don't know, CME, Globex, right? Like you have to know like what those are and like what those, at least what these data sets mean, right? That's extremely important. So sorry, I'll keep that one short. Okay. Let's see. It's been Russell said 5 years since the last video. Oh, Russell, you've grown up. Oh, yeah, I know. I was saying at the very beginning, I didn't stream. I didn't do any videos since then, and the context was actually I was having dinner with my brother, and my brother was like, "Hey, your video has like 80,000 views and a bunch of comments, and I haven't watched my own video since then. I don't watch you. I don't go on YouTube. I don't watch videos." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And so I checked out the video today, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like, there's a lot of videos and comments." And I actually felt really bad because like I'd rather spend my weekend, to be honest, like I'd rather spend my weekends with my friends and like with my family, and like I don't know, like I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not like a influence. I don't think of myself as an influencer, and then also because like I do get death threats. Unfortunately, I do get like I have some haters who like don't like me, and then also there's a lot of conspiracy theories about me. Apparently, like some people think like I was just telling someone like people think my background's like fake, for example, and then like I'll like walk around my background and I'll like walk around and like, hang out here and, and then walk back. Like I'll like debunk people all the time, just to like prove things and I'll prove people wrong. Just because like, I don't know, people keep, saying things and it does get to my head, unfortunately, because I'm human, right? I feel like sometimes I'm too old for this. So then I like don't stream, but anyway, so that's why it's been a while since I've like, last streamed. Let's see what else. Why do small hedge funds shut down? Oh, Dalal Street Trader. So you asked like why small hedge fund, besides like the whole like, hey, going back to Citadel, there's actually another reason, by the way. The industry is becoming top heavy. And actually really sad, by the way. And that's becoming true for not just finance, I think other industries too, but especially for quant. And what I mean by that is like, have you noticed this? Like, if you think about like what are the top HFT funds, or not, sorry, I keep saying fund and that's like wrong. We were the only HFT fund pretty much out there. HFT firm. HFTs and fund should not go together. So if you think about the top HFT firms out there today, they were pretty much all like the pioneers, right? Like Citadel, et cetera. Like these were the firms that were started, 25, 15, whatever years ago, right? So they have been around for ages and ages. Like very few of them started like quant trading, quant related firms, I guess. Very few of them were started in like recent years and have grown and succeeded like the old unlike the old school, right? So like and why is that? Why are these like why is it so top heavy, and then also why is it so like almost like ancient in terms of like this second wave of firms that have been around for many years, right? It's just and it's actually because those firms that started back then, they have what's called an operational edge. And what I mean by that is like so like when a new firm tries to start, it'll take them probably 10 times as long to get like reach let's say start trading in one, like start trading on CME, for example. And then if like let's say Citadel wants to start trading on CME, which they already do, but if they wanted to trade in a new market, it would be like 10 times faster and they would have way easier access to data and everything would just be way easier for them because they already have an operational edge. Like it's just so much faster for them to build. They already have the playbook on how to do things, right? And so I think that's a really big reason why. I actually talked to the CTO of Tower Research about this and asked him, I was basically asking the exact same question. I was like, why is this so top heavy, right? Like why are like Virtu acquiring all these like, firms at the very top, right? And then like they'll just, continue doing that. And then like the small firms have no chance of ever competing against these other, bigger players out there. And I think that's a big reason why. It's just like it's just it's an operational edge. It's not even a strategy, what do you call it? Like it's not even a performance edge. It's surprisingly on the operational front. So yeah, anyway, that's another reason. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm going down a list of comments here. So sorry if I'm slow. Let's see, Brenton, you asked what would you say are some important conferences to attend for someone who launched a CTA strategy fund recently? Okay, so because like my hedge fund days or like kind of pre-COVID times, the conferences I used to go to are like maybe a little old school, but there was the CTA summit in Chicago, which is literally called the CTA summit. So I'm pretty sure that sounds relevant to CTAs because it's literally called CTA summit. That was like 3 weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, in Chicago. And then right after the CTA summit, we hosted the quant meetup like the same day as right after the CTA summit, the same evening. If you were in Chicago, we would have invited you. So yeah, we literally hosted that. We didn't mean to like host it strategically or anything, but by total coincidence, we didn't even realize like it was the same evening as the CTA summit, which was the day of. So yeah, that's a great event to attend. I would say also the next one, there's Data Bento on our website, not on our website, sorry, on our social media, on Data Bento social media, and on my LinkedIn as well. I posted a list of events I think that we're attending like for the fall. And most of them were in September, but there are a few in October, I think. And then in the spring, we'll post a list of events that we're attending in the spring as well, probably later in a few months. So you can also try to like track that as well once we post them. But yeah, we eventually will post that, and you can try to see. Some of them are good for better for students, I think, and some of them are better for like professionals, like for like you, like CTAs. So um, let's see. There's another one like the Rebellion conferences. I actually think are good for both students and for CTAs because let me sell this. Actually, like first off, I don't have any like I promise you, I'm not paid by them. The reason why I think they're just great. By the way, we actually sponsored them, so we actually paid them. But the reason why I actually think I really like the Rebellion events is that they're really chaotic. I like that they're chaotic, right? Every like conference, every panel starts like an hour late. Like Anthony Scaramucci spoke like last year. Tower Research CEO spoke, Citadel guy spoke, like CTO or someone, I can't remember, Two Sigma, like all the who's who, like Point 72, et cetera. They all come and speak. It's really fun, Balayasi, et cetera. And I like it because it's chaotic. People like would rather hang out in the hallways than like go inside and listen to the speakers. And so like I spend the whole time just in the hallways, just like talking and like hanging out and we're just like having a blast, guys. Like it is so much. It's like a family reunion, and I just literally go out there and I think I treat it like a family reunion. And then we'll like afterwards just grab dinner together and like grab drinks and just hang out. And I will fly out to New York for this, and we just have a blast, guys. So please, like, if you can, like, try to add me on like Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever, like, we'll just have a blast in New York together in the spring. It is so much fun. So yeah, those are some of the more fun events. So yeah, stay tuned, please. If you ever want to hang out and stuff, like those are some of the more fun, like in-person events that are just genuinely so much fun. And by the way, like, because we sponsor some of them, I might be okay. Not everyone. I can't give everyone a free ticket. Obviously, they sell out. These events do sell out. So how about this? Like, I do have criteria. If you are a Data Bento like customer, and you can prove it to me that you're a Data Bento customer, I can give you a free ticket. That's the only way. I can't like give everyone a free ticket, unfortunately, because I don't know like how many I have. But Because we sponsor it, though, I do have a few free tickets. So yeah, anyway, that's all. Um, okay, next, let's see. Okay, Fuma, you said, can you tell me what your childhood was like to make you such a high performer, even though you said you graduated bottom of your class? Oh, okay. So I grew up in northern Utah, and my parents were both waiters at Chinese restaurants when I was growing up. So after school, I would literally walk to the Chinese restaurant, and then I would just kind of hang out there because I had nothing else to do. My parents couldn't afford daycare, so I just was bored at a Chinese restaurant pretty much, and just raised in a Chinese restaurant. So that's pretty much it. It was the only Chinese restaurant in town, I think, at the time. Utah's gotten more diverse since then, of course, but back then it was not very diverse. So yeah, I had boba for the first time in college, and my white friends introduced it to me, and they're like, what is wrong with you?" I had Korean food for the first time in college. I had sushi for the first time in college. I was not exposed to diverse cuisine until I went to college as a result, because I grew up in a very white northern Utah town called Logan, where my parents grew up. So, and then my parents eventually moved to Salt Lake City, which is like the bigger city, and then, yeah, so anyway, yeah, long story short, that's kind of my childhood. My parents were they made like $4 an hour or whatever. It's not very great. So that's my whole childhood. And then let's see. I went to just public school. My school was not ranked. I definitely didn't go to like a TJ or Stuyvesant or what. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know there's like a high school ranking, and until I went to MIT, and then like my friends would talk about it. I'm like, what's that? I didn't realize there was like Exeter and Stuyvesant and TJ and like that whole system. I didn't realize existed. My high school wasn't ranked on the national 2000 whatever ranking. It just didn't exist. I went to non-ranked high school, so yay! And then when I made it to MIT, my high school friends were like, "Congrats! What state is that in?" And I was like, Michigan. I just didn't know what to say. Anyway, yeah, so that was my childhood in a nutshell. Honestly, people ask, like, I think affirmative action may have helped me. I don't know. I mean, I am Asian, right? But uh, I don't know, actually. Like, did affirmative action hurt me or help me? I actually don't know. Because, yeah, I'm Asian, but like at the end of the day, I'm like, at the same time, I am from a place, I am from, poor Utah, right? Like, so, yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, lucid trading. Let's see. Hedge fund managers daily. Don't know what we're talking about. Okay, sorry. Just let Christina answer. Okay. Let's see. Talk more about your hedge fund. I stopped my fund. Yes, I did stop my fund. That's true. Yeah, I stopped my fund in 2020. We had a bad year. Like we were down 12%. I talk about this a lot, by the way. I've done postmortems a lot. I hope that I'm one of the more open people about this too. Like I like let's see, shut down my fund. That was really hard, by the way. I talk about this a lot. Like I definitely like was not happy about it. I shut it down in 2020. We had a really bad year. We were down 12%. And then okay. Oh, here's the other lesson learned. There's a difference between performance and investor relations, right? Keeping your investors in the fund. The year that we shut down our hedge fund was the year that we kept the most investors in the fund. And the year that some of the years that we performed well were the years that like investors pulled out. And I'm like, what the? So then anyway, so the year that we did bad was like during COVID, right? And like I would call every investor, be like, hey, we're gonna shut down, we're gonna liquidate the fund. And the investors were like, no, don't, we love you guys. Like, please don't. And I'm like, no, we're gonna shut it down. Like, we're not scalable. The high frequency trading is not scalable. Like, we're done. Like, we're gonna shut down the fund. And then so I like basically called a bunch of investors and like and then some of them were like sad, some of them were happy for us, whatever. There's like a bunch of mixed emotions, and that was fine. Yeah, it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, and like to be fair, we did poorly, right? And that's on me. And so yeah, like we talked to every investor about it, and we liquidated the fund, and that was that. And then so it was tough. The liquidation, I think the fund liquidation was fine. It was just all paperwork, and everything was done very smoothly, thankfully. And the investors were really nice to us. Thankfully, everyone was really nice to us throughout the entire process. And the process was really smooth. Like legally, it was really smooth. Administrative wise, really smooth. The difficult part was the office, like cleaning the office, liquidating the office, y'all. Like, we had this, like, have you seen the photos of our like really nice office in Boston? That took, I think, about 4 years probably to like fully liquidate. And that shocked me because you would think that like an office would just be like a few tables and like computers and, I don't know, chairs, right? But it was like thousands of pieces of furniture that we amassed over a decade, thousands of pieces. And that whole liquidation process, like I was giving stuff out by the end of the day. I was giving things out. And even after giving things out, it still took that long. And it was a nightmare. I have trauma from those. That was the traumatizing part, was just the office liquidation. I hated it. And my friends will tell you that too. I hated that. I was like crying during that process. That was the worst part, was just like liquidating the office, like stuff I'd rather not live through. So anyway, yeah, that was rough. Okay. Anyway, hedge fund in the middle office. Oh, and then let's see. Let's see here. Let's see here. Ripple, about mentorship. Oh, the other thing I should mention is like I've never had a mentor myself. I feel like mentorship is a very one-way street. Like, give people advice and stuff. And I've never really had a mentor myself. Like I've always asked people when I was younger, I always asked people to mentor me, and none of them ever got back to me. So I never had a mentor myself. And then I realized at some point, like that's fine. Like I don't know, it's like it's okay not to have mentors, and that, like I don't know. So yeah, I'd rather have what's called, what do you call it, like champions or equals, or I don't know what it's, there's another term for it, like kind of like champions in the workplace where like you help each other out. So like I have a lot of friends who do that for me, where we kind of just help each other out, and whenever we need stuff, we can just kind of message each other, and I don't know, like that's more fun to me. I don't like mentoring because it's very draining, and like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather be playing video games and watching anime. Yeah. Okay, tags. You said we're commodity researchers who want to turn ourselves into traders, start our own team. A key issue, you guess, is getting that money to trade. Yeah, it's a fundraising. I don't know if you missed it. I did talk a little bit about the fundraising a little bit a while ago, but yeah, fundraising is definitely easier said than done. And I did talk about how the macro environment affects fundraising for everyone. And I hope you heard about the fundraising advice and stuff. There's like the day one allocators, and there's conferences you can go to like find day one allocators as well. And definitely some events, you can go to and stuff like that, to try to meet the right people and stuff like that. So yeah. And then, just also trying to make the right connections and stuff like that here and there. Yeah. Hopefully you heard that part, I hope. If not, like, maybe I'll do it again in another live stream. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but yeah. Okay, and then it's been an hour. Wow, holy crap, time flies. Holy crap. I do have to go fairly soon, so let me just let's see. I would love to hear you talk about becoming a public figure. Oh, I don't think of myself as a public figure, but that's crazy that yeah, it's crazy that people like think of me as that too, by the way, because I'm like, oh, I'm just like a normal to me, I'm like a normal person, I just like live my life, right? And yeah, but I guess, yeah, I just think it's just normal. I just like live a normal life, right? And my weekends are normal. I didn't even think about live streaming until my brother mentioned it and was like, yo, your video has a lot of views. Like, you should sign in again. I logged in. I was logged out of this account for like 5 years, I think. I don't know. I never really checked it until today. So yeah, I didn't realize, I guess, and didn't think too hard about it until now. So um, yeah, I guess that's that. I'll try to do more videos. I'll try my best to. Thanks, guys, for being nice to me today. By the way, like, thanks for not sending me death threats. I appreciate it. Yeah, and then 2 cents for immigrants. Yeah, I would say for immigrants. First off, I'm really sorry, by the way, for people who are immigrants, right? And you have to go back to your home country. You have to, it's harder to immigrate right now, and Thankfully, right, remote work is becoming more common. So if you can get a remote job, like that's awesome. So hopefully you can get something that's remote, that hopefully will help a little bit. And there's a lot of opportunities like that out there, I hope. And then definitely, still if you can find some opportunities out there, like try your best, and there's other visas too that are not H-1B as well, right? There's EB-2. I know for Canadians, there's like the TN-1 visa as well. And then also you can immigrate to, there's always Canada. You can immigrate to Canada and the UK, and there's other countries as well. So yeah, but best of luck. It's out of my control as well, and I'm just really sorry is probably the best I can say to that situation because it absolutely sucks. Yeah. Let's see. What aspects of your childhood do you think made you successful for the future? I don't know, man. What guided you? How I was raised? I don't. Honestly, I would say actually a couple things. Actually, my parents are very like we're not too tiger parenty. I think they're just like growth mindset, like just be a child, go have a weekend, like go outside, like be stupid, be a child, right? Like yeah, I think that helped a lot. Like that just don't do like just have time to be a child, right? And then also for screen time, like don't take away all screens and all TVs and stuff, because then when your kid goes to college, they're going to be exposed to screens that they don't know how to manage it. They need to be exposed to all of that, so then they can learn for themselves how to manage YouTube. They need to learn how to manage TV time themselves, so that when they go to college, when they go off to, I don't know, summer camp, and they get exposed to all that crazy stuff, that they learn how to manage it themselves, so they don't go crazy and then they drop out of college because they don't know how to manage it. Right? I've seen that a lot in college. People on my floor, there were 2 or 3 people on my floor who their parents never gave them computers or video games, and suddenly they get exposed to that and they drop out of college because they don't know how to manage it. So that's one of the things we learned. um, how you got into MIT and non-target school. Yeah. Honestly, it gets harder and harder every year, right? So I would just say, like, do the things that you're really passionate about, and just like be yourself, right? I talked about like, honestly, what did I talk about in my college applications? I talked about probably talked about anime stuff and like cosplay stuff and like really dumb stuff. Like if I were talking about it now, I talk about like rhythm games, and I play rhythm games a lot lately. I don't really talk about it a lot, but like to people on like in my daily life or my professional life. Sorry, but yeah, like I would talk about like the really niche hobbies that I'm really into and stuff like that. Sen, oh, you're here. Hi, Sen. Oh my God, you retired because you broke the vase. Hi. Oh my God. Oh, it's good to see you. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God. There's. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I know there's a lot of questions on like capital raising, and I had answered that already. I'm so sorry, like that you missed the. I like ranted about capital raising for like a good 20 minutes. um, let's see. Located is participate in your fund if they're a citizen. Yeah. So for hedge funds, by the way, if it's a hedge fund, there's something called the master feeder structure, and technically, if you have an offshore feeder, you can participate in a hedge fund if you are located outside of the United States. So yes, legally, if a hedge fund has an offshore feeder, then yes, you can invest if you are located outside of the United States. Avoid League of Legends. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Cool. Okay, I think actually I should probably go now. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm supposed to meet my friends. There's a ramen. One of my friends works at a ramen restaurant here, and we're gonna go. Hopefully, I don't know if he's working today, but anyway, we're gonna go like meet as a group there, and just kind of hang out from there. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Thanks for joining this live stream. I feel like such a dumb person for doing this, but I appreciate it. And yeah, like hope everyone has a good weekend, and I'll see you around. Bye.